website that sometimes
Yes.
you ask, yeah, I know you have several, but do you have a website that many times you ask, what's going on? Nothing is happening here.
Is this even
Going to work?
worth it?
Yes. Well, you know, let's go to neuromarketing to understand why sometimes a website does not work.
It might look like, hey, everything is good, but then why doesn't it work? And it could be.
Well, people that visit your website have a reptilian brain.
Yes.
And that reptilian brain
Most
is
humans do.
always, most humans do, it's always worried about survival. That's the main thing. And
Think of a hunter.
if it doesn't take that out of the picture, it cannot really think on a logical way and do something.
In other words, if it doesn't know that it can't survive, it can't even process anything else and move beyond that.
So every time a person visits your site, it's going to ask some questions, right?
Such as
I wrote here, is it familiar?
Is it familiar? So think about the hunter. I walk into I enter this new environment. What are the things that I recognize?
Yes.
What are the things that threaten me?
What's expected, right?
What is expected?
So it's important to provide that.
Yes.
So here, a note of caution, when you do a design that totally shifts what people would expect. Because the moment that they say this is not normal, they will stop. And when they stop, they don't take any decisions towards buying.
Exactly, and ultimately that's what you want. It doesn't matter how pretty it looks, if the decision towards buying, towards a purchase isn't made, then it might not be working for you. Now, with that said, it doesn't mean that everything has to be boring and the same, but certain elements should be similar or should be something that they would expect. For instance, there's a reason why logos are usually found on the left-hand side of a website.
And you will usually see the checkout button, the cart with the items on the right side. So changing those little things will impact the way you convert, not for the better. The second question the brain always asks is, am I safe?
Am I safe?
Yes.
Can I trust this environment? It's already new, but what's going to happen to me?
It's important for the brain to feel safe inside your website.
At ease.
Therefore, navigation is crucial.
Yes.
Most people pay a lot of attention to design.
Well,
but you know, the conversion rate with good navigation is about 60%.
Yes.
Meaning that it's really important. If I'm using any mobile device,
80%.
that increases to 80%.
How crucial is that, right?
Exactly. So instead of worrying too much about the tone
and
of the colors that you're using,
this shade of blue, that's almost irrelevant if your menu isn't, your navigation isn't good.
It has to be extremely simple.
Yes.
You know, we used to say that if a monkey can buy from your website, then it's a good website.
That's right.
It needs to be really simple.
Can a monkey do it?
Few clicks as possible for them to get to checkout.
The less clicks, the better.
Yeah, hopefully not more than 3. Okay,
that's
very
right.
important. Then they're going to ask, the brain is going to ask, can I see it?
Can I see it?
Visual is really important to the brain.
Crucial.
The logical thinking will not set in if the reptilian brain don't think it's safe, and therefore images will play a big role here.
That's right.
So you should use images on your website, not a lot of text.
Right. People understand things better usually when they see something.
So it's even better when you use images on the left side and text on the right, because then the reptilian brain, here the right side, will go to the left
and see the image first, put it at
feel
ease,
safe,
feel the emotion,
yes,
and then
the frontal part of the brain will be able to read, understand, and take action.
That's right.
Very important.
Yes.
Why are you laughing? Do I need to act now? Well, this is extremely important. Not only you need to tell the brain that it needs to take action, but you have to tell the brain what it needs to do.
What?
Tell them what they have to do. Click here, join now.
Act now.
Register now. Yes.
Register now. RSVP now. Make it clear. Don't assume. You know what they say, like even with relationships, don't speak in between the lines, or don't assume that they know. Tell them it's the same exact thing.
Exactly. You're not supposed to expect them to do something if you don't tell them exactly what to do.
Tell them, and tell them often.
Yes, in fact, there is a new term for websites called neuro websites.
Neuro websites?
They are websites that are designed to talk to the reptilian brain.
Yes, thus the name neuro.
Yes, and many times, you're funny today.
I'm always funny.
Therefore, usually they have an image, a very impactful image, right? A compelling phrase that talks to the emotion.
Yes.
And then they usually have 1 or 2 buttons or things they have to do.
Exactly.
So that's the first thing people see above the fold, where they don't have to scroll down.
Yes.
1 or 2 options, and right there, join now, donate now, whatever is the offer.
Of the things she just said, elements worth noting. A picture, right, visual, that talks to the emotion. A phrase that will hit them emotionally first, and then what they need to do.
Yes.
A couple options, what they need to do.
Of course, if they scroll down the site, then it comes text and everything else.
But see, there.
You already took out the safe. You took out the reptilian brain to the safe mode, so it's safe.
Okay.
You told what to do.
Yes.
And then now the logical part of your brain can breathe.
That's right. I've discovered this new thing. Wow, it speaks to me emotionally, I'm at ease, I'm safe. Now I can navigate, if that's done right. Now I can navigate and go and process your information.
And you have to, and you simplify the options.
Yes.
Brain like simple. Write that down. Brain like simple. So give 1 or 2 options.
That's right.
You will have a chance later to upsell them on other options.
You don't try to tell them, I know you have many things to sell.
Yes.
We all do. But don't shove it up, don't... That almost sounded bad, sorry. That don't give it all at once. You will have the opportunity to do that later.
1 or 2 options.
1 or 2 options at first. Later on you can do it.
Yes, do this and you will be able to see a very different result inside your website.
That's
Simple things, always think, let's keep the reptilian brain at ease.
Yeah.
So the other part of the brain can really think about what I'm now offering.
Exactly.
So we always talk about talking on an emotional level with your prospects and customers, reaching the heart first, right? The emotional part of the brain first in order to make a sale. But on a day-to-day, how do you do that? I want to show you an example. Take a look at this print advertising. This was a print advertising in a magazine. It's from Patek Philippe, the watch, right? And look at what it says. It says, you don't own a Patek Philippe. You take care for the next generation. Look how it has switched the idea of buying just a wearable piece, like a watch, to something that you're going to hold dear to the next generation, that passes from one generation to another. It is on a very emotional level, and it also switches the situation of being a commodity, if you can say at that price, but a commodity, a watch, to being something very, very special. Okay, this is what you want to strive to do when you're doing any type of advertising, actually any type of message that you put out there to the world to see, is how you position yourself on an emotional level, because we always have different levels where we can position ourselves. For example, I can be a plumber. That's on a very low level where I put myself as a commodity, and every commodity is based on price, and you don't want to be in that environment if you're a business owner, right? Then you can be one step up and say, I'm the guy that takes care of all your plumbing issues, do something a little bit more glittery. It still doesn't go very far, and it can be related to price. But when you put yourself on a very emotional level, headache-free in home maintenance or something, could be better than that. I'm doing this on the fly. But when you put yourself on a very emotional level, on a higher level, then price is not an issue anymore, because you're not compared with the competition, you're not compared as a commodity, and it talks to them on a different level. A good example is like Disney, that is the happiest place on earth, right? Or the happiest day of your life. They have other businesses like timeshares, dog grooming, wedding dresses and things that are totally different, but the concept stays the same. And of course, what's the happiest day of my life is different than what's yours, but it talks to both of us on a very emotional level. Like Patek Philippe is doing here, when they're saying you're taking care of an object for the next generation in your family. So that, you know, it's almost like you're taking care of a legacy. And that's where you have to go for when you're thinking about how to put your message out there. So great example from a great company.
So, do you want to get someone to do something for you? Alright, I've got a tip. Here's what you do. Talk to their right ear. Studies show that when someone listens to something through their right ear, they're more likely to like what they hear. So, if you want them to do something, talk to their right ear and they'll process that information in a way more likely to actually do what you want them to do when you're selling that type of thing. Reminds me of that song, Listen, do you want to know a secret? Do you promise not to tell? Anyway, talk to their right ear.
So I told you before that the limbic system, especially the reptilian brain, pays a lot of attention to visual. So visual is very important. And visual is not only pictures, right? Is your website, is a video that you might do, anything that, you know, is visual. But it has an order, the brain has an order to which it pays attention to. So let me give you some of these components. The very first one is motion. The brain pays a lot of attention to motion, okay? Let's go back to our ancestors and just think about it. You go out to hunt, you're paying attention to any motion in the foreground so you can go and grab dinner. Not only that, you are always paying attention to motion to see if there's any danger there for you, if you're going to survive one more day. Well, it's still, after so many years, the same way. It pays a lot of attention to motion. So in a presentation, when you use emotion, turning to yourself, turning to a product, can be very important, right? On stage is a visual moment as well. Well, after motion, the brain pays attention to novelty. It is always looking for what's new and where there is contrast, right? Well, what's new is one of the reasons why people go and they buy any new software out there, any shiny new tool out there, because the brain is always looking for that. It feels comfortable when it finds novelty. You need to understand that in your business, you need to bring visual components that are new. Always the same boring stuff is not going to cut, right? And novelty, of course, is not only related to the visual, but also to the how you do things. You need to bring components of innovation to your business every now and then. But it's important. So motion, novelty, then it pays attention to error. Is there something here that looks like it's missing? Is there something out of place? The brain will stop and stay there, and that's what you're going for, right? You want attention from the brain. You just don't want the visibility, you want the attention. So when you're dealing with a different image that may convey a sense of something is out of place, the brain will pay attention to that. Maybe buttons on the different side could be that. So anything that is out of the ordinary and looks like it's a mistake, the brain will stop to see what's going on. And the last one is ambiguity. Every time the brain senses there is some ambiguity in an image, will also stop and look. For example, even those images that we have that they look like a bird, but then you look again and it looks like a face, there's some ambiguity there. The brain will stop to pay attention. You have to see how you translate that to your image components when you're doing a pay-per-click with images, for example, when your website, print advertising, presentations, videos, right, all this. So just reviewing, the brain pays a lot of attention to visual elements in this order. So the very first one, motion, then novelty, then error, and the last one, ambiguity. So now you should stop and take a look where you are on a visual situation with prospects, so print advertising, websites, pay-per-click, and how you can bring that novelty. For example, simple when you're doing a Facebook ad that you need a picture, because you can bring a picture that people would not expect to see, right? That may be a crying baby, I don't know. So see in your business how you can improve the way you're presenting visual elements according to this list.